Ha 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 ha.
There
Hello.
we go. There
All
we go.
right. All right. All right. I forgot to turn my mic back on.
Oh,
Uh, I know, right? I went through the steps that I was going to go through, and then I was like, oh, you know what step I forgot was, me talking point.
it's not that important. Everybody would just come in to see us smile for an hour.
Hello, everybody. Want to look at my smiley face?
That would be a good Twitch show. Just smile times.
Smile times with Rich and Justin. All right.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
man.
amazing.
We are trying some new technology out, so let us know if anything sounds like it's breaking or any of that stuff. But it should be better across the board.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, the chat's already saying you have a nice new haircut.
Oh, why, thank you. I ventured outside of my apartment for the first time in, call it 2 weeks. I don't know. And got a very socially distant haircut. It was great.
Oh man. Ooh, I do realize that your background is not the background that I set it as. So there you go. You're in Fallout right now.
Oh, that's okay. That's fine. I think, yeah, there are parts of Fallout that feel like Rime of the Frostmaiden. Probably.
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, no, it totally looks like something out of Rime of the Frostmaiden.
Oh,
Anyway,
perfect. Good.
It doesn't matter. We
Anyway.
are we are here today to review Rime of the Frostmaiden, the latest book from Wizards of the Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but before we get into that,
What? What?
I don't know. I don't know. Do you have any news? Anything new and
Oh,
exciting that has popped up or shown up recently?
I'm very excited. I did get one thing that I do. I'm very happy that I've gotten this a Kickstarter I backed some time ago. It is the Adventurer's Tarot, and I just like I don't even. I just got to keep showing off the glimmer and the gleam because everything in this is shiny. Like that's the whole point of this set is to be shiny.
To be
And
shiny
so
and awesome.
we have these amazing cards. Um, there is our Four of Dragons right there, and they're just like bright colors, which is very cool. But also like all this gold foil all over every single one of them. I'm
Oh,
not
it's
going
so
to show
good.
you all of them, but like, but like the familiar there. Oh, jeez, it's so great. um, and so like this is I think it's an Oracle tarot deck. I'm not exactly sure. I didn't get it for the tarot part. I got it because what I wanted is for my paladin to have this card, and then when they roll initiative, suddenly I have a stack of initiative cards. I just slot them all in the right order, and then we flip them over to see who's next, or we hold them up, make a line. I wanted a different way to do initiative than the you know writing on a whiteboard that I usually do.
Yeah, yeah. There's these things called table tents. They're great.
I know, but like, oh,
But
this
that
undead is so
that is really
good.
pretty though. No, I don't disagree.
It's a very cool set. So I'm happy that it came in. I'm excited to get to use it someday, and I'll just use it for me right now. While I'm running games with kids, I'll just be flipping these, and they'll never know.
Never know. Oh man. Let's see here.
What about you?
As far as I go, like I don't really have anything. There wasn't anything too new and exciting as far as D&D stuff goes. They did show off the new action figures for D&D,
Yes.
which those looked pretty rad.
Mhm.
Let's see. I did pick up a new like Funko Pop for D&D. It's not Funko Pop, it's another brand, but I
Okay.
got this really cute mimic. Oh, it's so good.
Oh, nice.
Had I had
That
I
would be
thought
fun.
ahead, yeah, had I thought ahead, I would have brought them into the studio with me to
Just like
show off.
raise it up.
But so maybe next week I'll show off my new toys. In
Very
addition,
cool.
I also picked up the How to Paint Manticore kit. It's $20. It's at your local friendly game store. Each store had a limited amount that they could get, and it's
Oh,
for kind of painting parties where everyone buys one. They get together. There's the instructions on how to paint it. All that is available in the box, including the paints. I think there's paintbrushes as well. And and thank you so much, Aubrey. So here's the
oh,
paint a manticore kit.
oh!
Um,
Wow.
yeah, no, it's pretty great. It comes with the manticore comes with several 12 colors, two brushes, and a water pot.
Oh, wow.
Um, Yeah. So yeah, so I think this is going to be fun. This is something that I'm planning. Actually, I got it. I'm planning on doing it on stream. So if folks want to go to their local game stores, pick up a version of this, it's still going to be a couple weeks out. I'll give you plenty of heads up. I'll give you at least a week's heads up as to when I'm going to do it, and that way we can all get together and paint together.
That is so cool. I think that's fun. That's such a good idea, just as a complete gift. Oh,
Right?
that's a good
This
mimic. Okay.
this
Okay.
mimic is great. Yeah, I already have the owl bear. I already have the owl bear, and it's a ton of fun. And I don't know. I've mentioned recently that I've gotten back into photography, and
Mhm.
so what I've been doing is I have a gelatinous cube and the owl bear, and I took a bunch of pictures of them and stuff, and I'm gonna start adding
Yeah.
in the mimic and some of my other D&D minis. But but yeah. So everybody, it is in fact a paint night kit. I don't know if that's gonna be in focus enough, but it is the
Oh, I do see
Manticore
it.
paint night kit, and so yeah, so we're gonna get together and we're gonna do this. So
Wow.
yeah, if you want to get together with me whenever I do this, go pick it up at your friendly local game store, and we'll find a time and we'll get together and stream and chat
Hmm.
and have a good time painting a mini.
I like that. We did get their original Nazguls. Is it Nazguls? Marvelous Pigments? Um,
Nolzers. There's no
Nolzers.
G.
Um, gosh, but it's a cool set. And then it was like, well, which minis do we get? And we had a lot of choices we had to make. And it was like,
Mhm.
I love that it's just here you go, boom. Here's a very cool mini.
Yeah,
Everything you'll need to paint this mini the way you want it to. That's great.
absolutely.
I'm
Yeah,
in.
I think Warhammer does similar stuff too, where they have paint kits now, where you buy like a squadron and it comes with the paints and some minor instructions. So I'm
Yeah.
excited to see how this turns out. I'm not opening it till the night of. I have no clue. Whatever. We're gonna open up together. We're just gonna go for it.
Okay. I
So
like are all the paints different shades of like fur?
it does have the paint shades on here. So um, there's a few good ones here. So it'll be good.
Okay, that's cool.
And then
I was wondering if it was like army paints where it's, for like Warhammer where it's just you blue and gold. That's it. This army's blue and gold.
yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, I don't know that that's gonna focus. All right.
No.
No, it's not gonna focus. It's focused way back here, but it's really small. So
I'll check it out.
yeah, no, it should be fun. Yeah, so I think other than that, the other big thing that was this week, of course, is Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden. So we're gonna dive into this and talk about this here in just a little bit. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to talk about. I guess. I do. Yesterday I started my Saturday morning streams where I get up and I start streaming some dance music around 10 a.m. and while
Cool.
I'm doing that, we watch some sweet cartoons. By that I mean like open source or not open source, creative out of copyright cartoons.
Right,
I don't
right.
want I don't want to
Public
get in
domain.
trouble. Public domain. Yeah. So
Very
if
cool.
there's nothing else, like we can go ahead and get diving into this sweet Rime of the Frostmaiden stuff.
This sounds good because otherwise I'm going to go on a rant about the public domain. So let's go. Icewind
Oh
Dale.
wait, I want to know about this rant on the public
Oh no,
domain.
I was just watching Enola Holmes last night. It just came out on Netflix.
Oh
It's
yeah.
based on a series of books that came out, I think, in like 2006, like a YA
Hmm.
series. Movie's great. It's fantastic. It's about like Sherlock's younger sister Enola. Has a whole lot about the Holmes family and kind of like her growing up and then going off on this adventure, and it's really cool. And apparently, one of the things that the holders of the Sherlock Holmes copyright, I mean, it's a public domain, but not all of
Yeah.
it is,
Right.
right? So the happy Sherlock Holmes is under copyright, while Sherlock Holmes in general is not. And so, as they were portraying Sherlock as this nicer older brother in certain bits, like a little bit nicer, they
Yeah.
were getting in trouble.
That's so weird. I
Yeah.
don't I don't
Yeah.
feel great about that. Yeah, the public domain is weird, and Disney has made it worse. Anyway, I can
Yeah.
go on my
Yeah.
rant about the public domain as well. Seeing as we watch public domain movies and cartoons all the time on my DJ streams.
Sure.
All right, so Rime of the Frostmaiden takes place in Icewind Dale. Your adventurers are heading north for various reasons. When they get there, what you find out is that the North has been in a long winter lasting
Right?
years, I believe, at this point.
Years.
And there is only about 3 to 4 hours of twilight esque daylight a day. Um, and this has been going on for a while. Like I said, you're in Icewind Dale for your own reasons. And let's in part of one of the interesting things about it is there are a bunch of ties to character background hooks, right? There's different reasons you might be there. So, we'll take the top example right here. It's the Acolyte. Uriel, the Frostmaiden, the god of Winter's Fury, has cast an evil spell over Icewind Dale. You can bring hope and faith to the people of 10 towns, or better, even better, free them from winter's cold embrace in the name of your god.
Oh.
So different things like that to kind of get you into feeling this campaign with your background. So
Mhm.
that's the premise is you are going to Icewind Dale for some reason. If you're an acolyte, maybe you're going because your god has told you that the god of winter is just punishing Icewind Dale, and you need to
Right.
figure out why, right? Or or as the folk hero, your name is synonymous with heroism throughout 10 towns. So, did you save a fisher who fell on the ice, scare away a yeti armed with only a fishing pole and a basket, or beat a drunk Goliath at arm wrestling? You. So in that case, maybe you're a folk hero to the 10 towns, which is a fantastic reason to be up there as well.
That would be very fun. Yeah, I like these because, knowing one of the things that surprised me about this adventure right at the start is that right, that Oral has done all these things.
Mm-hmm.
That everything is bad, is terrible, comes and like every single night casts a ritual like creating the aurora, and this constant frost. Like all these people are living under the terror of this deity for
Mm-hmm.
years,
Yeah.
and of course you're going to have a background reason for why you've known about this, you've thought about it, you're headed up here for a purpose, and I love that they thought about those purposes. It's really great.
Yeah. And I guess we should go ahead and warn folks there will be some probably minor spoilers. We're not gonna spoil any major plots, but we might spoil some of the early stuff just to kind of talk about the idea of way this adventure flows.
Yeah.
Probably at most parts of chapter 1 and parts of chapter 2, and I think there's 7 chapters. So we're not
Yeah.
going to go into a whole lot of detail on like some of the nitty-gritty stuff. But we might ruin a few early surprises. So
Yeah,
speaking
some of
of
them have been talked about before
yeah,
already, so yeah.
exactly. Yeah. It's all over. One of the things that I find interesting is that this has been going on for a while, and everybody in the 10 towns knows it's been going on for a while, and each of the towns have developed their own way of kind of trying to protect themselves from the
Yeah.
winds of the Ice Maiden, and that's how they pay tribute. And that's the one that I found the most. Oh, I might be a little quiet. Sorry. Uh, the one that I found most interesting is in fact there are certain towns where they'll forego warmth in the morning or the warmth throughout the evening to Aubrey, let me know if that's better. They'll forego warmth for an evening. So what that means is that they don't have any fires, they don't cook any food. All they can do is get together and huddle in their body warmth to try to survive the night. And that's like the least costly of the options that they have to try to
Oh yeah.
appease the frostbite. And I think that's where we start to see a little bit of the horror in this in this adventure that's really been brought up and talked about, like this being a very horror-esque, survival-esque, The Thing style campaign.
Right. Yeah, these people are kind of hopeless. I mean, in a lot of ways, right? They don't think, they're moving through life, they're hoping that it's going to get broken, but they've been living under this for so long that of the 10 towns, three of them are good with humanoid sacrifice.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
just where they've gone. Like that's the whole towns that they're just like, cool, let's do that. So I
And
love that some of
Strelats.
them, so yeah, some of them are good with warmth or food, but wow, there's some dark places up here.
Yeah, it's definitely there's warmth to be found in some of the NPCs in certain towns, and I think that's something very interesting that they point out in here. There's warmth in the people that you can find, but then there's also very cold places as far as the people you can find too. And they do a really good thing, and this is still chapter one, is that they go through and they outline certain aspects of each town. So whenever you as the DM have your players go there, and let's see if I went ahead and I marked this like I had meant to. I didn't, but each of the towns are noted on friendliness, services, and comfort.
Mhm.
And and that's something that Forgotten Realms did a long time ago with a lot of these more town style quests, or guides. And so one of the those three ratings, what they tell you is like how friendly that town is, right? Well,
Yeah.
that one's the obvious. And then what kind of items you can find there, as far as like if you're shopping, as well as is what kind of amenities you can find there. And so those different ratings will really help you as you're kind of exploring each of the 10 towns and getting your real feel for Icewind Dale.
Yeah, and I love that there are some general outlines as well. Like the book says that if you are looking to purchase magic items in 10 towns, like, well, that's too bad for you. You can purchase things I think up to 100 gold max. And so healing potions, love the basic ones. That's about the best you're really going to be able to find outside of the adventure itself, which I kind of like, just knowing what the economy is going to be like,
Mhm.
and then going into some of these towns and realizing that it's been scaled down even more from there.
Yeah, yeah. Your players may be used to your Baldur's Gates and your Water Deep, where there's all those things, but here in Icewind Dale, they are not nearly that robust in any sort of the way.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
So
Which is very cool. Like, as we're talking about this, we're playing at the 10 towns, not just being locations that are interesting and that you want to learn about, you're expected to. Like this adventure is basically asking the players to explore the 10 towns, learn about what's going on. And that's going to be what you're up to for about the first 4 levels of this adventure is wandering the ice, seeing what's up in this town, what's going on in that one. Before building up a reputation where people will start to tell you about the other secrets that'll
mhm.
push you farther out onto the glacier.
Yeah. Um, one of the things that they do in this adventure is really early on you get your initial quest, your initial
Mm-hmm.
thing you have to go do. And it's talked about a fair amount on the internet, so I don't feel bad about spoiling it a little bit. Is there's a murderer going around, and you get tasked from a bounty hunter to a retired bounty hunter to go and hunt down this hunter or this murderer. This murderer is gonna set the tone for a lot of things for this adventure.
Uh-huh.
I've seen some debate as to whether you should hold off on throwing this encounter at your party until they're level 2 or level 3. But I think it's important because of the way it's written to throw it at them at level 1.
Oh, wow.
As we were talking about it, and I was thinking about it, it's like you need to set the tone for this campaign early, and you need to reinforce that tone often. And this tone is a very bleak, very dangerous atmosphere. And I think if you don't come at them with that, where they face that real threat right there at level 1, then I think you're doing the adventure itself a disservice, because
That is fair.
I think you need to, there's even a note in the book about this first one where it's like, okay, well, maybe I think it's in this book, but maybe that's your cold open to this adventure, right? Is that first group of players, they went to go hunt down this killer and they didn't make it, right? So now round 2 comes, and that was kind of your prologue to the adventure. And now, now your players are going to be a little bit more prepared for this encounter whenever they encounter it. And you could even build it that way, right? You could build like a party of like level 1 adventurers to just do that encounter, get their butts whipped, and that's the prologue.
Sure.
And then the story begins.
How dark.
Which I mean, right? That is a little dark, but this adventure, I mean, the image,
that's true.
the
Yeah.
image I have right now is a slod bursting out of the chest of an adventurer. I mean, and that is one of the secrets you could have, is that a slod is inside you and you have to try to get rid of it.
I do want to jump in because there's something intriguing about this adventure that I like, is that it feels like this adventure had two design teams hanging out together, and they were both working on the same product, but they were like, okay, but what about? And
Mhm.
so at the start of it, there's an option for two different starting quests, and the Cold-Hearted Killer is one of them. But there's a totally different one, and you could never do that Cold-Hearted Killer one if you want to. The second one is much more exploration based. It's called Nature Spirits, and in that one, it's not going to be this harsh combat tone. Instead, you're going to focus more on the exploring the world and finding out like the nature secrets of the place, because there's a lot of parts of this book that really reward those characters who are like, I want to go up to the ice and I want to find a talking walrus. That's what I want to do. And so that adventuring party is, my struggle with this, this Cold-Hearted Killer one. The nature spirit's not going to be a problem and might give them the fun that they're looking for. So there is this constant like push and pull between, this is a horror based moment, and then all the way back to, this is a playful like, what's March of the Penguins style, what's Ice Age? Is that what I'm looking for?
I think that's what you're looking for. Yeah,
Okay,
Ice
yeah.
Age.
Because there are a bunch of those moments. There's a ton of talking animals in this one. The druids send animals after you,
Yeah.
and DMs can have a lot of fun with those and make it kind of playful. And so, which group are you playing with? Because this gives you options.
Yeah, there is a certain amount of across this book, I guess. Yeah, there's a certain amount of levity that is present, and I think you need that in any good horror story. You need those
sure.
moments to breathe. And a lot of that can come from things like the talking animals, like the snowy owlbears, like the Goliath rugby. I forget what they called it, but it's essentially rugby with Goliath.
Goat ball.
Yeah, goat ball.
Right, you have the opportunity to get an axe beak mount. There's the possibility of training a griffin to be your hawk. It's like a falcon, hangs out on your glove, hunts for you. It's great.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of really cool options as far as like the way you can play this out. And I guess for me, like I would still start with the hunter, and the way I read it, and maybe I'll have to reread it, but I think you do both of those quests early on. But I may have misread that part.
For the starting quests, it's one or the other.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Because they both give you reasons to go around. And then from there, once you go to each town, every town has its own quest.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good to talk about.
The big intent here, as I was looking through the intro and kind of the flow chart of this early part, because it is pretty vague, it's pretty wild, is that you show up in a town, wherever, like for the Cold-Hearted Killer one, that killer is in a different town. So you start in A, let's say you're in Bremen. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
In Bremen, you explore a little bit, you learn what's going on, and there is a quest associated with that town. And so, your characters might have this long-term goal of tracking this killer down, but you could also do this thing right now. So you do that, right? Do that quest. You solve the quest for Bremen. Awesome. They like you. You start moving on to another town, and potentially this could be the one where the killer is at or where the nature spirits are at. If it is, you could still do that quest first. And by the time you've done, I believe, 3 quests, you should level in this game. So if we were doing, the hard and fast method, I would still give you probably first town adventure, choice of the second town adventure if you wanted to, or directly to completing the starting quest. And that would be the level 1 version. But I might, as a DM, knowing, test my players, see where they're at, and if there's too combat light, well, let's push them to another town first. Give them 3.
No, there's a couple of different ways to tackle this, and I think that's one of the things to really think about whenever you're sitting down to pick which adventure you are going to run for your party too. Not just in this book, but this book period. I think this is not going to be the easiest, most straightforward book for players to run.
Nope. I think that'll change later, but we're only talking about the first 2 chapters, and those 2 are hard.
Yeah, they're not very straightforward. And even later, based on what I was reading, there's a lot of subtle things that you need to know to catch to go forward. And two of those things I believe show up in chapter 2. One is, oh man, I already forgot the name of those two encounters. Is there's two encounters that I think are very important for just the entire thing. And one of them is called Id Ascendant. So in chapter 2, there's an adventure called Id Ascendant. And once again, it's kind of like I think even mentioning a bit about this one is a spoiler. So just I don't want to go too deep into it. But Id Ascendant is one you have to play, and Lost Spiral of Nethril. Lost Spiral of Nethril is important for one of the potential ways you can make things resolve towards the end of the game. But the Id Ascendant, that one is actually going to be important for Baldur's Gate 3, the new video game. So if you want to tie everything together, it's going to be really nice to play that one.
Yeah, that chapter is really interesting because there is this. So chapter 2, basically you're expected that you are 4th level by now. You have gained the trust of the people of 10 towns. You could even complete all the town quests. At some point, they just stop giving you experience. They're just, you're just getting them to like you. And when you're in those towns, they start giving you rumors, and you might decide to investigate those rumors. They've built a random table if you want that. Or they've built a whole bunch of short quests or quest givers that push you towards certain ones and just said, pick the ones you want. So it's totally up to you how you decide to do this. Again, there's a certain number of them that you should do. Let's see. Once you do 2 or 3 of them, you have gained a level. Gain a level if you accomplish a really extraordinary feat. There's a couple in here that are pretty darn important. Like you mentioned the Goliaths earlier. That has something to do with one. And once you've reached 7th level, you start pushing ahead. Like, you no longer gain experience from these. You can still do them, check them all out, but they want to push you towards the next stages, the next chapters of the book. So yeah, these first 2 are so wide open.
Yeah, so I have up a quick example of what to expect when looking at a particular town in here and the adventure associated. We're gonna spoil Bremen here a little bit. Bremen is the first one, so I don't feel too bad spoiling it. This is the first town in the book that they really talk about. Bremen is a town that was founded by dwarven prospectors. It is on the bank of Mare Dowloon. It talks a little bit about here. So if you look here, here's so friendliness. This is a good place to start. People are fairly friendly. 3-star flakes. It's a scale from 1 to 3. Services, not so great here. So you're not going to be able to find a lot of the magic items, the healing potions, that type of stuff. You're going to be pretty limited as far as what you can find here. Comfort, it's not the most comfortable, but you should be able to find a warm fire, a place to stay that's not going to infest you with fleas. Talks a little bit about some of the things that you'll experience as you're going through here. One thing is that each one of them shows what the kind of sacrifice they make to Ariel. This one is warmth. So what they do is they forego warmth for an entire night, and they're in the Arctic, right? So it talks a little bit about overland travel in this area. You have a little map of the town, which they do this for every town, and I think it's great.
Yep.
It talks about a little bit of the things that happen in here. You talk about the inn. There's a little bit of background here, the different things. And then here we get to the particular quest for this town, and it's called Lake Monster. So I'm going to scroll through this kind of quick so you don't really read it, but you get the quest, you meet some folks, and then you get a bunch more information on how to deal with this, and it has some events that you're going to possibly run into as you're on the lake, and it has this sweet picture of this dinosaur thing trying to eat your boat. Right? I mean, it's... Yeah. And so there you go, right? That's how each of these are broken up. And if you're using something like Roll20 to run this campaign, whenever this comes out, Roll20 will have a lot of this information pre-generated for you to make it even easier. But yeah, like I'm a big fan of the way this is set up. So
yeah,
and we were talking about the second one, chapter 2. So this chapter is very similar. You have a location, or you have a kind of a quest And so, Secret of Black Cabin is one I picked up. I've heard a lot about this one. A lot of people are already talking about it.
Yeah.
But it talks about a little bit about the adventure, a little bit about of what all's going on here. This one has some special things. If you die into Black Cabin, right? Onward and forward. So little map, that type of stuff. It's really well put together from that aspect. It's pretty to follow these little mini adventures.
They're all so different. Like some of them, the Black Cabin is one that, as I was reading through, it's totally a dungeon delve presented here as a mini adventure, right? There's all these different locations. They all have their information. Some of these are more like a conversation that you're going to have. You're going to go meet a person or a creature. You're going to talk to them. You're trying to gain their trust, and then you get a reward at the end. They're much shorter, and so there's rules in here as well for like wilderness specific random encounters and how you should do a few of those on the way to some of these and things like that. There's a lot of stuff to encounter beyond just these mini encounters.
Yeah, and you did bring up a great point. Is a lot of these mini encounters aren't exactly fights. A lot of them are almost skill challenges in the way that they're presented, and I love that. I love the fact that not everything that you run into is a fight.
Very fun.
So, I do know, and maybe once again, like I've only really read through it thoroughly ish once. But if I remember correctly, there are a couple of things, especially in these later chapters, I think it's the chapter 4 and 5. There's actually the ability to bounce back and forth between these two. And if you're running this, pay attention to that, because and I think it's these three, it might be chapter 3 and chapter 4. Actually, I think it's chapter 3 and chapter 4 now that I say that. There is something that happens in chapter 3 that can accelerate the way you go do things in chapter 4, and then you can conclude chapter 3.
That's right. That's
based on my reading, and it changes a lot of things further down the road. And I think that's going to be important if you're planning to run this. One thing that I did kind of skip over is that early on in the book, there's a whole section of like running adventures in cold weather and this stuff.
I just opened that up. I was so excited to talk about this. This is great.
Exactly, right?
The whole wilderness survival chapter. A whole, so many good things here.
Yeah. So it kicks off talking a little bit about avalanches and how to survive avalanches and deal with those. Blizzards, of course. Blizzards may knock you off course. Dealing with extreme cold. You could deal with a lot of exhaustion in this campaign, and exhaustion sucks. So, but they also give you ways to deal with it and to counter it.
Finally, this book has cold winter clothing available for the first time in 5th edition.
Exactly. Yeah. Cold winter clothing. Finally, right? But yeah, so. Yeah, no, it's a really good chapter.
The average temperature in Icewind Dale is negative 49 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah, that's a little chilly.
I love this because they also have rules, while all this is going on. Fishing for knucklehead trout. They have fishing rules in here that are going to show up a couple different times in this adventure. It becomes a thing. And your character, that just might be your deal, is, gosh, I got to go fishing for these trout that are super mean. They're really going to fight back.
Yeah. They are jerks.
Is cool. But there's another major part in here that I did want to chat about, because it came up on the Bremen page, which is just about travel and travel times. Travel sucks in Icewind Dale right now, and on our map, not a lot of distance between these places, but overland travel on foot with snowshoes, you travel half a mile an hour. And so, just through the snowfall and the cold, if you have a dog sled, you're going 1 mile an hour, and that's about the best you can do here at low levels.
Yeah, until you can afford I think the Axe Peak is a little bit faster, but even that's not going to help you a whole lot. I pulled up an image of the trout, by the way, the knucklehead trout.
Oh, so, yeah.
Weird red fish.
Very bizarre. Yeah, but there's a couple things I remember. One of the mini encounters has like a fish for this thing instead, but use the knucklehead trout rules. So that's going to be a deal. And if you're out here for this long, you're thinking about now, like, well, what is the distance between Bryn Shander and Bremen? And if I want to make that journey and I can only go, a mile an hour at best, and it's only light for 4 hours a day. Okay, it really
Yeah.
starts to get a little scary thinking about what this travel is like and what could happen along the way. So I think the random encounters here I would want to dive into actually and start, building this world up a little bit better, make it a little more dangerous.
Yeah, I'm not the hugest fan of time tracking typically in D&D adventures, but I think this one I would do time tracking. I would do a lot more time tracking because part of it is survival, part of it is, and when you're dealing with survival, you need to deal with time.
Yep.
The time between towns, the time between landmarks. I think that's going to be important, especially when you're dealing with blizzards and you're dealing with avalanches and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the potential to push your characters to the limits in this adventure, and I think that's fun. I'm into
Right.
that.
Yeah, I think barring you having a ranger along that is good at the Arctic, because that'll trivialize a lot of these things, unfortunately. But things like, what if you're in a town that only has a very low snowflake rating for like the things you can purchase, and the landmark you're headed for is going to be a week and a half of travel or something. Well, how many rations do you have? Are you going to have to hunt on the way? Like, what is your plan? I kind of want to know those things.
Yeah,
I don't want to go through, there is a limit to how far I'm willing to go there, is I think is true for most of us, but I don't just want to say you get there.
yeah. This is not a flash forward to the next scene type of adventure. This is a part of the adventure is getting from scene to scene.
Yeah.
And I think a ranger does help a lot, and it trivializes some of the encounters, but it's still going to be a challenge if you have if you had an all ranger in druid party, you'd still have plenty of like things to deal with, right? Like,
Yeah, that's true. I just think about the food thing,
yeah,
stuff like that. That stuff is totally unimportant if you have a ranger along.
right, yeah, because you don't want to.
Take care of
Yeah,
you at the end. You
exactly.
can't get lost at the end. There's notes in here for if there's a blizzard, and you have one person who you note as the navigator, and they are the only one who gets to make a check, and they don't make it. You do as the DM. So you roll secretly to see if they have gotten off course or not, or if they lose an hour just wandering around. And if they roll poorly enough, a player gets lost, and you have to spend the hour trying to find them. It's wild. So I like those things, and especially for lower level characters, I think those are very interesting challenges here at the start of this campaign.
Yeah, and so speaking of starting the campaign, totally jumped over this. Is they have taken a card from Avernus in that the players have secrets, and they
Yes.
outlined these secrets. And we talked about. I think we may have said something briefly about them, but it doesn't matter. Like some of these secrets are really really kind of fun, like doppelganger, right? You are not who you say you are. You are a shapeshifter,
Yeah.
and and there's something about that may or may not come up in this adventure to make life hard for you, right?
Right? Yeah, you get the secrets at the start, and
Mhm.
a lot of them have links to the adventure somewhere, which you expect from the start. Otherwise, why do you have that secret? Why is that useful? But there is this, intent that your characters don't tell each other what the secret is, because you don't know what's going to happen. If you get to an event and it comes up, you're not sure you want them to know that you're part of it or connected somehow. It's
Mhm.
very interesting things in here.
Yeah.
I also like, just for the record, that they gave the chat about the doppelganger for a second. It's very good. They gave them dark vision.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of kids lately want to play changelings, and they're like, "Cool, I'm a changeling, but I'm gonna look like an elf today." And they're like, "Well, I'm an elf, so of course I have dark vision." And they don't. They don't.
No.
It's a very unfortunate thing.
All right. Let's see here. So, oh, there we go. I did have this up. There we go. I just wanted to point out the fact that we've been talking about axe beaks for the past, month or so, and here they
Uh-huh.
are, right in the book. This is what an axe beak looks like, everyone. You can get one for 50 gold in some of the 10 towns, and yeah, it allows you to run across the snow. So it definitely helps with movement.
That's very cool. Yeah. What's the speed on that one? How quickly does that make you go?
Let's see here. It says an axe beak's splayed toes allow it to run across the snow, and it can carry as much weight as a mule. So I think
Cool.
it's movement speed.
Very cool. That's fantastic. Well, good. I'm glad. Then we get our overland travel that is much better for our friends.
Yeah, yeah, and they move 50 feet around. So whenever you math it out.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I
Mhm.
like that. I'm glad that they have that to make this easier. Another thing that they did to make easier, just to jump into it, is this adventure provides a good pronunciation guide, kind
Oh
of in the
yeah.
introduction. We were talking about it off before the show started. It's just awesome to have this because there are, this is a region where the designers have just, they've gone all over the place for names, and it's cool to just know exactly what it is. um, I like knowing that you are going to meet. Oh, it's Oriel. I was going oral.
Oh yeah.
Oriel. Oriel.
Oriel. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a
So
lot of. Oh, and Drizzt Do'Urden is in here.
yeah, he is I did not see him in the book. Doesn't mean he's not in here. But there is a background where you're just a fan of Drizzt. You're just like, yeah, no, he's a great guy. I wanna see what I want to see what Icewind Dale's all about. This is his home, right? So that's the reason you're there, and maybe that'll
Yeah.
come up later, right? Um, yeah. There's some really cool, like, all right, here I'm gonna spoil some more stuff because spoiling things is fun apparently. Um, no, so when I was looking, there are some really fun magic items.
Cool.
And I don't want to get into all of them, but we'll very easily get into the first two, which are the only two that I kind of wanted to spoil.
I haven't jumped
Um,
into these yet. I'm excited.
yeah, the abracadabra us.
Oh, come on. Come on. That's a good name. That's a
It
good
is
name.
it? So the thing about some of the magic items in here is they are very appropriate for Icewind Dale and adventuring into 10 towns, which I like it when the items that you can acquire in the adventure help with the adventure. So
Mhm.
the abracadabra us is an ornate gemstone studded wooden chest that weighs 25 pounds while empty. The interior compartment is a cube measuring 1/2 feet on each side. So the deal with this is chest has 20 charges, and what you can do is you can expend a charge to name one or more non-magical objects with a total of one gold piece or less, and then it magically appears in the chest, provided it can fit in the chest. So things like food you can do. Stuffed animal bag of 20 caltrips is things they say. Food and drink conjured by the chest are delicious, but spoil if not consumed within 24 hours. Any gems or precious metals created by this chest disappear after a minute.
Wow.
So I mean, that's a great kind of tool to have whenever you're stuck out in the unforgiving wilderness. And the Cauldron of Plenty, which is the next one, is a cauldron made of thick copper that has turned green with age. It's 4 feet wide. Its mouth is 3.5 feet in diameter. Weighs 50 pounds. Can hold up to 30 gallons of liquid. If water is poured into the cauldron and stirred for 1 minute, it transforms into a hearty hot stew, which can provide one nourishing meal for up to 4 people per gallon.
Wow.
So right, so that's another fantastic magic item that was designed specifically for folks in the Icewind Dale because it's
Yeah.
such a harsh place on your heroes.
Right. Those are both when you get them, like your party is going to just relax for a little bit, because there's just so many things you take for granted when your campaign always runs into major cities. Like, oh, yeah, I just need more. Gonna get my arrows back and make sure. Oh, I need a lantern. I'm gonna pick up some pints of oil. But are you gonna find those things out here? No,
No.
not. I mean, not necessarily. Some of the places, but not most of them. It's just cool to be like 20 times a day I can have the thing I want. Suddenly, that's a very good bonus.
Yeah. And these are the things that, folks who aren't used to adventuring in this kind of area would really think to prepare sometimes, right? Like, oh, did I bring enough food? Did I bring a shovel?
Right?
Yeah.
Like, no, and you're not going to find that crowbar anywhere out here on the ice.
Right.
If you want to open that, you need a crowbar now. I also like that for a lot of gift ideas. I mean, they do vanish, but if you did food, for example, that'd be a very cool way to potentially get advantage on weird situations where you're just like, we bring you a taste of the South, and hand a plate of strawberries to a Goliath who lives in Icewind Dale.
Right?
Could be great.
Yeah.
That's a they mentioned stuffed animal in particular. Like that's very intriguing to me.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of really, really interesting things you can do here. There's a lot of really cool allies you can make. There's a lot of really great enemies. Um, yeah, and there's so much that I'm trying to not spoil it. I mean, to be
Right?
honest, like
Yeah,
I am dancing around so many things right now because it's like, oh, so good.
that is wild. And I've only read the adventures in the first two chapters, and honestly, chapter two has been kind of skimmed. I read the stuff in chapter one, and immediately I was like, I want to run this. I like this.
Oh, you want to run it?
I kind
Perfect.
of
What are you doing
do.
Sunday?
You mean right now, or
I
you mean right
mean,
after this?
oh, I mean, whatever. I mean, this evening, I can think of at least 3 players,
Yeah,
maybe
right.
4.
So it's an exciting setup. I love the secrets. I think that's great, and I like the mission. I'm always a
Mhm.
big fan of a mission style game. So here instead of just hey, you're in the Forgotten Realms, explore, and as you're exploring and wandering the world, you get like a quest lead. Like we have a goal here. The goal is to figure out what the heck is going on with the frost,
Mhm.
and we kind of all know in a meta level that we are leveling up in order to do that.
Yes.
We're not going to go face Oriel right now. No. But we can see her every night flying through the sky, making this ridiculous, aurora happen.
Hmm.
It's kind of terrifying. I
Yeah,
love that. That introduction just sold me, and then immediately getting into these starting quests and all the quests and all the towns, like it seems fun.
it really does. So the major, I love this book, and I don't like to complain about books.
Mhm.
But I do have one minor complaint, and I will complain about it in every D&D Wizards book until they fix it, is that the artist of the actual art interior, they once again put it in a light font in the kind of crack in the center of the book, so it's kind of hard to tell who did the art. Um, I want to know. I want to know who did this amazing owl bear that I have up on the screen right now. And while yes, I mean I can totally find it because it's in there, but it's just not as obvious. I would really like it if they put something under the images. I think that's more appropriate. But that's once
Yeah,
again that's just my opinion, and that's my only real complaint about this book. Um, so
that's
so I think this is for a little bit more advanced DM as far as running from this book.
yeah.
Um, if
I
we're
agree. You got to make some choices.
Yeah, I think if you were a starting DM, I would probably look at either doing stuff from the Tales of the Yawning Portal, or I would look at doing Dragon Heist. While Dragon Heist is complicated, I think it stretches your muscles in a good way as far as trying to navigate in an adventure goes. Whereas this one does as well, but it's if you don't have that foundation of being able to run a published adventure, of being able to improv, of being able to put things together for your party very quickly. I think you're gonna find this one to be much more of a challenge.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that introduction, and I do love the starting quests to give people a sense of what they're supposed to be doing, which is
Hmm.
searching for this person, this thing, whichever quest you choose. Um, and so that gives you a reason, because otherwise you're kind of stuck in a position as a DM of almost improvising. Like, why do you want these people to go to Bremen? Do they have any reason to go there? It's travel's awful.
Yeah.
um, and they have a quest there. That's fine. I just won't go there. I won't do it. So if you get players like once they've bought in and they're really excited about it, maybe they've done this, they realize they can help these people out. There's some very cool stuff you can do. But otherwise, as a DM, you're gonna have to start pushing. Like, what's going to be your reason to get these players moving to these towns, and then once they get these rumors, moving to act on these rumors? Like, there's a lot of intention there. That's as players, as characters, we're in for this game. We accept that we're going to be wandering around doing a lot of things. But if I have characters who are like, I don't want to do this, or players who are like, why should I go there? I'm going to struggle, I think, with this adventure to really give them motivations to keep moving.
Yeah, and I think I think that's something also you'll want to make sure and discuss with your players ahead of time too. Whenever you get into this, and say, listen, this adventure and it actually has a little bit about some of the things you should cover too in the book. Listen, this adventure is going to deal with these topics. You are getting into this adventure because you are a hero. For what reason? Why are you going there, right?
Yep.
And I think part of that discussion is going to be help set up the expectation that you are there to help. You are there to take down this god, or not take down, but stop this god from torturing the 10 towns, right?
Right.
So,
And so, if you decide you're going to play, my character is going to be a necromancer who just wants to go back to where it's warm, and I hate my party. That's not going to be a very useful character for this one. This is kind of
no.
it's already got the thing that I love in a D&D game, which is like, why are our characters bought in? Why are they working together? And then I don't have to question those motivations. They're just off and running. Like,
Yeah.
I never want to wrangle a group that doesn't like each other and they all want to go somewhere different. Like and this adventure says don't play that character right now.
Right. Yeah. And you look at something like Dragon Heist, there is a lot of ways to run that one off the rails and still have a engaging, fun adventure, right? You could totally run that one off the rails. This one is a lot easier to run off the rails, and I think that's also part of why you want that established knowledge. And I'm not saying a new person couldn't run this. I would just say just take your time, and I don't think it would be the best one to run initially. But if you're new DM and you want to run this, totally do it. Read the book cover to cover, make a lot of notes, read some guides from other people who have read the book, who have run these adventures. Use the tools available to you. So WotC puts out some tools to help. There's going to be some great tools on the DM's Guild to kind of help move you through this. Use those tools, and you'll have a great time, and it's going to be a great adventure. But yeah, I think your player buy-in is going to be an important part of setting this up.
Yeah, because
no
the
matter
first
how good of a DM,
yeah, they're very sandbox, and you just got to be ready for that.
Yeah. Oh man.
That being said, I think this is great. I don't typically buy into a lot of published adventures, just because I don't like the rail very much. But I like this one. I really like how they set it up. The sandbox at the start is interesting. They give you a lot of glimmers about what will happen later, and I think the stuff that happens later looks pretty cool. So
yeah, there's some really cool things, including that. I don't want to go too much into it, but that metallic gray dragon that they put out the mini for is definitely featured prominently in this adventure, and I think based on what I saw from it, I think it was pretty fun, and I'm pretty into how it all is going to break out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Break down.
Oh my gosh. I'm excited. I was excited to make characters for this. I thought those were a lot of fun. People should go back and watch that episode. Think about making their Rime of the Frostmaiden characters. There we go.
That I will point out that is the episode I'm trying to save from YouTube. But
that's right.
Yeah.
Well, there was Jeff the accountant.
Yeah.
No,
Bob the sorcerer. If I can recover that one, I will get it up and I'll let everyone know. But I am now doing some extra backups of all of our episodes, so they won't go anywhere.
Fair enough. But it's fun. But anyway, so now I'm excited to run this one. I guess it's gonna have to happen. It's here. It's ready. It's done. I could just go.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if it's on Roll20 yet, but it should be on Roll20 soon. And then you have everything there, and you could just run it online.
Yeah, which gonna have to.
Right. All right. Let's see here. Well, I don't know how much more I can get into without spoiling anything as far as this book goes. Right. I will say, that I don't know if you've checked them out, but the two dragons that kind of came out alongside this, the Sapphire Dragon and the White Dragon, I did see those in person, and they are amazing.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah. All right, there we go. Oop, I just pulled it up on ye olde Roll20. Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frostmaiden is available. So what this is going to come with, it's going to come with all the creatures. It's going to add a bunch of unique items, the spells, the character art pack. You're going to get the module, so that's going to have all the maps and everything done for you. Yeah, it's It's pretty slick. And if you
Yep.
got a group together, it is $50 to get on roll 20. If you got a group together, say it was one DM and 5 players, just have each of the players kick in $10 for the DM who's running it, and that's hours and hours and hours of enjoyment.
Absolutely. It's going to be fun. I do love that they mentioned that on Roll20 to, there's some extra rules for Goliaths.
Mm-hmm.
Goliaths are a big part of this. So if you've been
Yeah,
waiting for your Goliath to be useful, this is it.
this is
Hop in.
this is finally when I bust out my Goliath druid. I'm ready.
Be fantastic for this. Just so unbelievably good.
Right. Yeah, and I've read enough where I know exactly where I want my Goliath to be from too, to cause as much trouble as possible.
Yeah, there's a whole section on here about what the Goliaths are up to. It's I think it's one of the appendices.
Yeah.
And so checking through that will give you that whole thing. And there's multiple locations. Oh, there's so much good stuff for Goliaths in this one.
Yeah. One thing I'm looking at the breadth of books that have come out as far as these adventures go. And I'm so glad I've been buying the adventures, because by the time this edition's done and we move on to 6th edition, because we will at some point, 5th edition can't be forever. I am going to have such a robust library of lore about the Forgotten Realms. It's going to be unbelievable. And this is just adding so much great lore to it.
Oh, this really is. There's a lot of good stuff here. This isn't a part of the world I knew much about except for the Drizzt series, right? Wolfgar's from there. Okay, cool. And so it's really cool to see it like laid out and with this really neat like world changing event going on, like this everlasting winter. I think it's fantastic.
Right? Oh man,
it's a great moment to dive in.
It's all so good.
And if you are curious, if you want more, the DMs Guild right now has a huge September sale for all of the Rime of the Frostmaiden related community titles that exist, including Encounters in Icewind Dale. That's a fantastic like series that they have done about just adding more random encounters that you could put into your game. There's absolutely a player primer, which I will probably be downloading and sending to any players just to get set. Just what's the stuff going on in there? I don't know about most of these yet. Many adventures that you could do along the way. The Great Cold as a Warlock patron. I mean, there's just some fun stuff in here that I recommend you check out.
Cool. All right, so let's do some quick closing thoughts and wrap this thing up.
Okay.
Overall, I think Icewind Dale is a fantastic adventure with a great amount of lore. I don't think it's the best starting adventure, but I do think if you're an established DM and run, like even if you've run like one or two of the adventures from Tales of the Yawning Portal, I think you'll be good. It's just learning the rules and playing this at the same time and running it at the same time may not be the best way to go. But great book, so much good stuff in here, and I can't wait for you to run it, because I hope that I get to be a player. I'm submitting my application now.
Okay, fair enough. All right, application received. I'll be letting you know if you're accepted within 2 weeks, maybe. I love this book. No, I totally agree. This is a storyline I am more excited about than any of the last ones. Wasn't super excited about Hell or Giants or a couple of the other ones, but this one, boom! Give me a wilderness that's exciting to explore. I really want to check this one out and do this one. So this is very high on my list.
All right. Well, I think that does it for this week. So for the folks who are watching us on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and click that little bell thing. Folks here on Twitch, thank you so much for joining us. And make sure to follow and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram or join our Discord to keep up with all of the latest news of when we're streaming and all that jazz. And I think that's everything. Thank you so much. And we will see you tomorrow when we dive back into the fighter. We will hopefully finish up races and then move on from there. So, all right, we'll see you all next time.
Bye-bye.